All
So
right.
another thing that we're noticing, so with the PSLF waiver, a lot of people were consolidating their loans to turn them into, from those ineligible FEL or Perkins loans into direct loans. And even now, some people are still consolidating because of the IDR waiver. A question that I've been getting from a few people is actually from the application itself and the fine print. So the fine print has not been updated with the language of either the PSLF waiver when it still existed or the IDR waiver. And so it still has that old language where it's all scary and it says, if you consolidate, your payment's going to start over. But the waiver supersedes that. So just kind of for your peace of mind, we have been seeing people getting their loans forgiven with the waiver who did consolidations. Their payment counts maybe temporarily were set to zero because of, an internal whatever reason. But just know that that's temporary. And by consolidating, you're not actually going to restart your payment count to zero as long as we have the IDR waiver currently.
Mm-hmm. I think this next question I had branches off from this. And then there was a case study I thought we could mention that is also tied into this. So another question I saw, or I keep seeing too, is I've submitted information to consolidate my loans maybe 2 to 3 months ago. I haven't heard anything. What should my next steps be? So a couple of things here. If you applied to consolidate, maybe back when the PSLF waiver was going on before the October 31st deadline, or you've done so recently, if you haven't gotten any correspondence, go back and make sure you got some kind of confirmation when you think you had done the application, because as soon as you submit a consolidation application, you get a letter or an email from studentaid.gov from FSA that says, hey, we received your application. You may have had additional steps that you needed to take. And this is in regards to those who are married. So if you consolidated and you applied for an income-driven plan, that confirmation letter would say, hey, we got your consolidation application. You're almost done. So you do need to pay attention to that. What the next step is going to be is that your spouse is going to need to sign off on your not technically your consolidation application, but the income-driven application that was part of that. And so if your spouse does not have an FSA account, they can create one. That sounds kind of silly, but it is the only way they can electronically sign off on your income-driven applications in the future. So go ahead and create an account for your spouse. If you are going through the consolidation process, or if you did already and it doesn't seem like it got processed, it's probably because of this reason. And then your spouse will have a reference number or a cosign code to use to plug into the application to sign off on this. So that letter, or that, I keep saying letter, but that email you'll get right after you submit the application will give you all the details that you need to know on how you need to have your spouse sign off on it. And that should get the application completely submitted. If you're in the shoes of this person where you saw the confirmation email come through, it did have those extra steps that you did not take. You might need to contact the loan servicer that you consolidated with, or that you sent the consolidation to see if they need anything else from you. And it's probably going to be the income-driven application spousal signature.
And I actually have one more point on consolidations as far as questions we've been getting. So this week I got a wonderful email from someone we met with a few months ago, or not even a few months ago, just last month. And she told me that her loans were forgiven, right? And my first thought was, that was really fast. Like for Mohela, that was way too fast. But if she says her loans are forgiven, maybe they just did something out of order. So, I congratulated her and then heard back like the next day saying, just kidding. It was just showing a $0 balance, but my balance is there now. So basically, here's what happened with her. And she will get her loans forgiven. She just has to wait probably 4 months like everyone else. What happened was she needed to do a consolidation to be eligible, right, with the PSLF waiver. And the consolidation just hadn't settled yet. And so if you think your loans are forgiven, but you're not sure, what you should look out for is an official letter from Mohela, because they will send you a letter saying something like, congratulations, you've reached 120 payments, your loans have been forgiven. Even if they haven't updated your payment or your balance to zero, you'll still get that official letter. So until you get that letter, hang tight.
Yep, that's a good point. That also can happen if you're just moving servicers. So it happens with consolidations because they're bundling the loans up, pulling them over to Mohila. But also, if you've submitted an employment certification form, or you're someone who is getting moved from maybe Great Lakes to Nelnet, for example, with that Nelnet merger, it's possible that your loans could kind of disappear temporarily, where you can't see it on studentaid.gov. You're not really sure where they are at the point, or maybe you get like a paid off notice or letter. So that could be very temporary. It's because of that transition. Usually it doesn't last longer than a couple days, maybe a week at the most, from what we've been seeing from clients and from folks that have told us about it. But that is a good point, is, if you're banking on the forgiveness, wait for that official letter. That is the confirmation that you'll need to know that that's exactly what's happening. Otherwise, you might just be in a transfer.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like winning the lottery and you start spending your money before you got the check.
Yeah. That your client though is really close. So it's like a tease, unfortunately.
Yeah.